Welcome back to Supremely Black Podcast. This is your host, D Rose. Now, this story is actually coming out of Detroit. The public school system has offered a cash initiative for high school students that are 2 or more grade levels behind in reading. This is something that they have put into place because they've noticed that a lot of the kids that are in high school aren't reading to their grade level. A lot of people had a lot of different emotions and thoughts in regards to offering the kids $2,000. Here's the news clip, and I will get back with you.
Public Schools Community District is developing a new program that would pay students to improve their reading skills.
Yeah, there's been a lot of concern from students, parents, and DPSCD alumni when it comes to literacy, and it's well documented. In 2016, former students filed a right to read lawsuit against the state of Michigan and won. Now, fast forward to this past spring, and half of the graduating 8th graders were reading 2 or more grade levels below where they should be.
Well, 7 News Detroit reporter Brittany Toulis wanted to know more about the new incentive program, so she reached out to Superintendent Dr. Nikolai Vitti, as well as parents and students, to get their feedback.
Sincere Williams walking into his freshman year at Cass Tech High School with a weight on his back.
Some say they don't like reading. I don't.
He and more than half the other freshmen throughout Detroit public schools are all carrying that same burden. They need a little extra help with literacy.
What don't you like about it?
The big words. And sometimes just forget the most simplest ones sometimes. I read pretty okay right now, but I could do better.
Jamar Gatewood, who is a junior at Cass Tech, gasped after hearing spring 2024 end-of-year assessment results. 54% of 8th graders tested at reading 2 or more grades below reading level.
That's right there. It's crazy. That's definitely an issue because if they're not learning that now, then they're going to be like too far behind.
We're talking about, by off the top of my head, couple thousand students that would fall in that category.
There are a couple of factors that make the literacy deficit worse by the time the struggling freshmen graduate. It's hard to squeeze in the extra lessons on top of necessary credits needed to graduate. That, coupled with high absentee rates, makes it even harder for struggling students to catch up.
It's an important point to note that if students miss 9 or fewer days of school, they're 3 to 5 times more likely to be at and above grade level in early elementary and middle school, and 3 to 5 times more likely to be college ready in literacy as well. Nearly 60% of our students miss 18 or more days a year.
To give struggling students a leg up, DPS is planning a program that'll pay high school students to stay after school and work on literacy. But Dr. Vitti says the shortfalls in literacy does not mean DPS students can't read.
What their challenge is reading content and answering questions based on what they're reading.
How much students will be paid and which schools will be included are details still being decided. The program will launch this fall, but there's no start date announced. Interest accrued on COVID money earmarked for a development project that's sitting in the bank right now will fund the project. Sincere's ears perking after that first part.
Money is money, in my opinion. Getting paid, sure.
Money incentive is good because certain people, in certain kids' situation, they need the money. Every kid is not well off.
Sincere's grandma saying he'll go to the first session, and Jamar says his son will too.
Would you want your kid to take it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I will be speaking to him about that.
When made available, the program will be open to all DPS students. Brittany Toulis.
I find this to be an extremely good incentive. I know that when I was looking at some of the comments, I've seen some people was like, why would you have to pay kids to go to school for something? I mean, pay for them to take tutoring sessions and things like that, and their parents should be doing it. Let's just be honest. Let's just keep it real. Like, a lot of times people aren't able to spend the additional time. I mean, the climate, the economic place that where a lot of people are in, they're struggling. So, some people have full-time jobs and a part-time job just to make ends meet, to make sure that their kids are even able to make it to school, to get to and from work themselves. So I think them offering the incentive will help with travel to and from after school, if they have to use the bus, if they're using Uber, Lyft, etc., just to get from those sessions. And I think the most important part about it is that most school districts, I haven't seen them take a proactive approach like this. I'm pretty sure that there's more stories out there, but for the Detroit public school system to make this decision and include it in their budget back in their board meeting in June, I think this is a huge step, and I think a lot of people should follow it. And them offering $2,000 to the people that are behind in reading gives them an incentive, because at the end of the day, regardless if you graduate high school and go straight to the workforce, you're going to work for money. If you go to college, the ultimate goal is to get your degree and get a job that would be beneficial for you and your family, or just you and yourself, however life has presented itself to you. So I think this is an amazing win. I hope other school districts follow, because at the end of the day, if we don't take initiative to see exactly of what does the next generation look like, we can't fault them for their mishaps. And at the end of the day, they're kids, and everyone doesn't have parents or anyone in their life that's actually pushing them to go to school. And this is not just a Detroit issue. I've studied and looked into different situations. I know that there were schools in Texas that were behind in literacy and weren't reading on their level. Now being in the Tennessee area is very similar. A lot of the kids aren't reading to their grade proficient level, and it shows in regards to how you even handle conversations. You can see the kids that are behind in school, typically their way of getting attention is to have outbursts. Not all situations. Some of those kids look for validation or look for attention because they're coming to school and they're not as prepared or well loved at home as other kids. And I think this gives people an opportunity to not be the laughing stock of class, because I remember when we used to play, we did it was considered popcorn reading back in school. And, you know, being a kid is not funny, but you would purposely call on somebody that you knew for a fact couldn't read or had said something, you know, slick on the bus. Like, okay, cool. I know when I can get you, because when we can do popcorn reading, I'm gonna say, hey, D-Rose, hey, boom, read this. I'm knowing that you can't read at the level that I can, but that's my way of getting back at you. So, you know, the bullet gets bullet when it comes to the classroom. So major shout out to the Detroit Public Schools Community District for making this change. I hope a lot of people take this route and also keep the cash incentive, because again, if parents are willing and able to help and can assist with it, that's a win-win for the kid to get up the level, and also can put a little extra money in their pocket, because if they're doing tutoring, they may not be able to go to that job that they want to have. And then also that gives the parents something that they can lean on as well to say, hey, if you're taking this step to be better, I can help you as well. But now that you're getting incentivized for it, that will push them even more. Everybody needs a little different push. Everybody learns differently. So major shout out. I hope more follow. Like, share, comment, and subscribe if you are new. As always, long live CC. I'm out.